Lorenzo Castellani joins us from Rome. He's a research fellow at Luis Guido Carli University. Lorenzo, thank you so much for your time. In terms of the deterrence that European countries are trying to impose to stop these migrations, have they got it wrong? Because it seems as if the migrants who are suffering more than the human traffickers.
Well, the main problem is that there are some areas, as Libya and Tunisia, for two different reasons, which are basically incentivizing migrants to move to Europe. And for European states, particularly the Mediterranean ones, it's extremely difficult to govern these illegal immigration, particularly to create safe corridors for legal migration. The role of the Libyan Guard Coast is useful, but is not enough strong to prevent disasters as the one occurred in Calabria on the Italian coast a few weeks ago. So an initiative by the EU is praised by the Mediterranean countries, but it's difficult to find an agreement also at the European level to increase resources, both in terms of investments for Northern African countries and as well for enforcing the eventually defense and military operation to carry back the ships of illegal migrants. So we are in the middle of a gridlock with another refugee and migration crisis as it occurred in 2015, and of course it is politically a very hot moment, particularly for the right-wing government in Rome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously politics plays a huge part of this, but clearly the most serious consequence is the loss of life of a migrant who is looking for a better life. And then on the other side, you've got the politics in countries that are trying to clamp down. And I'll just give you three examples. Your country is one of them, Italy, and then there's France and the United Kingdom. And overall, the number of undocumented migrants in those three countries is about 1% of the total population. So is it a question of too many people arriving or the kind of people that are arriving?
The problem is both, in the sense that the people that are arriving sometimes are very difficult to identify or to detect, and most of them are, difficult to integrate in a very short-term perspective, and that's what politics wants to achieve, basically, in all these countries. And so this is, of course, a problem, and it is perceived a problem as also by the electorate of all the parties now, not only the right wing. The other problem is that it's very difficult to know how many people will arrive the next month, possibly also a very large numbers. There are millions of people that want to reach Europe in the next years. And this is, of course, a problem in terms of ensuring, security and life for both migrants and as well Europeans. So the combination of these two elements, so anxiety for migrants and as well the difficulty to integrate them, combined with the difficulty to guarantee security in terms of safe corridors for migrants that are reaching Europe, they are, an explosive mix for European politics. And so the reaction is a series of vetoes by the different countries to undertake a solid action in both sense. On one side, regulating the fluxes, and on the other side, projects for integrating the migrants that are still there.
Lorenzo, just looking at United Nations data, at least 12,000 migrants who reached Italy so far this year set sail from Tunisia. That's at least 9 times more than the same period last year. And to be honest, that's not really the point of my question. The point of my question is that imagine what it's going to be like in 10 or 20 or 30 years when the climate crisis pushes millions of people to look for places where they can actually exist without dying just because of the climate crisis. I mean, Europe will have to build a wall around itself because this is just the start.
Well, this is exactly the point. So the fact that potentially there are millions of people that might reach Europe, and for European public opinion and as well politics, is very difficult to govern this phenomenon. I think the only possibility, at least in the medium term, is to build a stronger cooperation with Northern African countries, and well, carrying to these countries a process of state building and as well economic investment in order to prevent such unregulated and massive migrations in few years. Because of course, the real problem is that the political reaction to migration crisis in Europe could be very harsh, even harsher the one we faced in the last 10 years, where the right-wing or populist parties basically carried a large consensus, and considering Italy in particularly, they took the government recently. So if we want to avoid such a harsh political reaction, I think it's necessary to cooperate with all the Mediterranean parties for regulating the fluxes, involving as well the countries from which the migrants are departing.
Lorenzo, really appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. Lorenzo
Thank you.
Castellani in Rome.